If you've ever thought, how do I get to show up on the first page of Airbnb? Might be time to rethink that goal. Here's why. Airbnb's app and website can now look very different for every single user. With the new features introduced in Airbnb's 2024 winter release, this personalization is taken to a whole new level. Now, the listings people see, the destinations suggested, or even the details on each listing page, your listing page, they all change based on who's browsing or using the app. So there is not a single first page of search results that everyone sees. Instead, each traveler gets a unique experience tailored to them based on their booking history, search preferences, and choices made by people with similar profiles. To make this happen, Airbnb has rolled out 4 new AI powered features we're going to see today: suggested destinations, recommended filters, search tips, and personalized listing highlights. These features make it easier and faster for travelers to find exactly what they're looking for, helping them move seamlessly from browsing to booking, thus increasing Airbnb's conversion rate. Let's jump right in. The feature we're going to see is suggested destination. Basically, if you go here in the search bar, Airbnb is going to show you different destinations. Depending on who you are, you're going to see a different list. For example, in my case, first thing I see is recent searches. Makes sense. I searched for some destinations recently. Second thing I see is suggested destinations. That's where it's interesting. For example, right now I'm sitting in a city called Bergen, and it's showing me things near Bergen. Then it's suggesting Paris because I often go to Paris, being a French person. Also, then they start suggesting places I may like, for example, Berlin for its architecture, for example. Another one is here, Shiroshima, because I was looking for another city in Japan, and here is suggesting this as a stop after Tonosho. Another example is Antwerp, because right now I'm in Netherlands. Hey, how about Antwerp for a weekend getaway? Uh, Another one in Barcelona because I travel here often. Yeah, for work. There's a lot of conferences in Barcelona. Um, the last thing I would have a look is maybe here, this one. Toronto, guest interested in Vancouver also looked here. So it's also basically telling me, there are places you may like because other people liked. So you can see how already it's trying to narrow down on my preferences, past booking history, or recent searches to suggest destination I may like and discover. Second thing is the recommended filters. So let's imagine I do search for a place here. Let's imagine Mallorca. If I go now to filters and I click here, you can see on the top here, there's something new, these big icons. These are the recommended filters for these destinations. A filter basically is something that will be applied to search results to only show what match these filters. Kind of makes sense, for example. And here the filters are not on, but what's new one is very easy to put a filter on, right? I need to just click on it and say I want a washer, free cancellation, air conditioning, and kitchen. It's interesting because indeed these filters will depend on my past booking history, for example, but as well, obviously, what's available in the area. So it's dynamic, right? And depending on what I'm doing, what I'm searching, who I am, these filters will change. In my case, I travel for work, and I like cooking because that's why I'm going to actually short-term rentals because I don't like hotel food. I like to cook for myself, even though I'm bad cook. I like to control what I'm eating in a way. And indeed, I also care about having a washer because usually, I'm going to present on stage, for example. I want to make sure I look good. So I may want, if I'm training for several days, wash my shirts and the rest to make sure I look okay. So that's exactly things I would be looking for. You can see, by the way, as I was adding these filters, you can see the number of places suggested, of course, goes down because I'm adding way more filters on top of each other. So filters also dynamic. A third thing that Airbnb is doing here is something called um, 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 search tip or similar dates. You can see here for Mallorca, actually I entered a search for 6 nights. 6 nights. What Airbnb is doing, they're telling me, hey, if I was searching for 7 nights, and for similar dates, I could maybe find better places. Either better places, what they mean here is that maybe, for example, the price is lower, or are getting higher reviews. Especially, it's especially true on the price. What I mean here is that why are they pushing me to extend 7 nights? Because usually, a weekly discount will kick in, lowering the price per night. And you can see here, for example, the places suggested have a good price per night for very high reviews. So it's a very good compromise, that trade-off that they are making me do again. So this already is kind of like logic. Airbnb has introduced like 2 years ago already to make people find similar listings, but he's pushed a bit further, and again, especially in a way to make people want to extend a stay, for example, and pay a lower price. Last thing that Airbnb is doing is fascinating, is changing what people see on a listing page. So this is the listing page for a castle. So I think it's just a room in a castle, really. But that's castle in Bad Höningen in Germany. Look at that. So basically, I didn't enter any search preference. I went straight to their page. And what's new? I'm going to focus on this here. This content will change depending on who I am or even what I'm looking for as a traveler. So it's me, right? I'm looking for this place, but by default, what they tell me, there's a great value view, it's a great location, and park for free. But then I went and entered a search for the same destination and came back to the search result. The only difference I had is basically I said, well, we'll be coming with 3 adults. And I think I had two adults, sorry, 2 kids, and 1 infant, something like this. And what you're going to see here, the top content, which is the fourth features, the personalized listing highlights, they changed. So the content of the page changed. Right here, it's basically highlighting what would make sense for me traveling with 2 adults, 2 kids, 1 infant. Look at this. First and foremost, baby essentials available. The host can provide a changing table, crib, high chair. Yes. So yes, even your own property page, I mean, its content can change to adapt to what a person is searching at that very moment, right? The same person can be searching for something, and maybe they're traveling for work or traveling with their family, and obviously what will happen that the page, your listing page, will show different things that Airbnb controls. So you can see here, obviously, the goal one is to increase the conversion of Airbnb, right? Airbnb can show properties, destinations, or content that makes more sense to a user to get this person to convert faster and better, right? So overall, that's increasing the conversion on Airbnb. It's also helping match the traveler with listings that make sense to them. And that's where indeed Airbnb has a lot of control on this, but this is where you can step in and again make sure that once you know who your target clients are, who this property is good for example, really make sure that you've ticked all boxes, filling all the content, um, put the right pictures, so that when this matching happens, right, that Airbnb is using to put you in to show the right highlights, to show this, that should show up very fast. For example, as I said, right, if you do have things catering to kids and you're not saying this and you're ticking the boxes on the Airbnb app or in your PMS, wherever, to say, I do have a crib, I do have all this, that's too bad because you will not show up or I will not see this in my highlights. So once again, it does mean if Airbnb does control what they're showing, they do rely on what people are saying about you. They do rely as well some in some way in photos as well. I'm not saying you should show photos of cribs as your first page, but what we know, for example, for categories to shop in categories such as amazing pools, you obviously have to. If you want to influence Airbnb, you have to do show a first image, for example, with an amazing pool, and kind of things if that's what you're shooting for. So Airbnb controls it, but you can make sure that you can do that. Another thing to see is that on your own direct website, you can use some of these recipes. There are companies out there like Adaptive, for example, that enable you to also personalize a bit the content people see as they're browsing your own website, right? Um, so some of these technologies you may want to look into for your own direct website, for example. All right. So thanks for watching. Here's to more bookings and happier guests.